Hello, everybody. Cedric and SIDRA here, Comparative Reasoning. And I would like to do this one on answering some things in the ether that all spawn from Dusty Smith's show. And he does a good show. I listen to his show. Good blocks, good subjects, lots of content, very progressive. He's got some, I would say, a couple of hang-ups that may drive a few people away, but he's got some issues, and they're legitimate issues to have. They're very legitimate, very understanding, and I want to try to explain a few of them. And it involves polls, it involves supporting the left, and people not caring too much about the President of the United States and who it will be. But before that, she just said that, she's got a question she wanted to ask. So you take the floor, SIDRA.
So I wasn't up here, in this part of the house with you when you started listening to the show. But when I did come up here and started listening, Dusty was particularly riled. Now, did something happen, or was he ornery when the show started?
He was a bit ornery when the show started. Okay?
Okay.
And you want me to explain why that was, right?
I mean, if he got into it, because he was like ready to slash and burn everybody.
All you had to do was just listen to what he was saying. You can hear it in the context. But it does partake into what I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
Or at least mention. I want to get some answers out there for people.
I can get it from the context. I was just wondering if there was a trigger.
Yes. This episode, the one I was listening to, this is some days old. It was probably Monday. He said he didn't do a Wednesday show, so this was probably back on Monday. I'm not sure, or it was last week Friday. But there's a point where he's angry with the stuff I'm going to talk about. He's like, "Why aren't you up in arms? Why aren't you ticked off? Why aren't you angry like me? Why are you calm and stuff?" And they're telling him, "Look, calm down, chill. It don't matter too much. You're getting too angry. And you shouldn't even be angry at this at all. And, like all these polls, they don't matter. It doesn't."
You're talking about the people who are watching him?
Yes.
Okay, it's
yes.
Super Chat. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Not Super Chat, just people who are watching.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of them might just be trolls. Some of them might be like, "Look, yeah, I agree with you on a lot of stuff, but I just don't care." And I'm going to get into that. So,
okay.
Cause one of the things that he was angry about was the polls. And the thing I put down just to remind me what to talk about was, why do average people on the left not care about polls? And here's the thing. People on the left don't necessarily care about polls because, let's be real, polls, when they are asked about, it's like, look, here's a poll, here you go. How many of you even see those polls? The reason people don't care about polls is because, and you go back to the very, very beginning of comparative reasoning, which I know you won't. I don't blame you. But I'm like, I wasn't asked these questions. I don't get these in my inbox or anything where people going to find these polls, because these polls are asking a sample amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
That's how statistics generally work. Let's ballpark it. There's more than that, but 320 million people in the United States right now, whether they are a natural born citizen, they became a citizen, or they're just asylum seekers, or they're just here.
They're not going to ask all these people that question.
They're not going to ask most of the people. They're going to ask a sample size group of people that partake to their own website or their news program, and that sample size of people might be around 5,000 to 10,000 on average.
Maybe.
Yeah, like you just said, maybe. And that amount of people, these political analysts are using that minor, infinitesimal sample size to judge how all 320 million people think, judge, want, desire, need. That's what they're doing.
And they do it without accounting for errors or being coerced or anything like that. If you do truly doing stats, you got to account for a lot of stuff.
Yes.
These posters aren't accounting for nothing. They're just asking blanket questions to a small subset of people who are in their echo chamber to get what they want to get said.
And these, and Rich, she said coerce, and just let me know if I'm wrong. The reason she says coerce is because it's how you ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. Do you think Trump will win the presidency in 2024? And people are like, I don't care, but yeah, especially if you're only asking right-wing people. And then you got to think about this. How many left-wing people might say yes because they don't hear the left talking positive about there's nothing progressive coming from the quote-unquote left. There is no left-wing media. There's just right-wing media far left of the extreme right. That's it. And that's what people are slowly, well, progressives anyway, slowly seeing. And it hurts to know that that's what's going on. Like, that I'm a Democrat. I'm not on the right. You mentally and identifiably are not on the right. But everyone you vote for, by default, if you're voting for a corporatist, they're on the right. To be progressive, you have to care about people, not money. To be a corporatist, you don't care about people unless it's them making you money. That's what's going on. People doing these polls are asking only those in their mindset range. And then a few of the others might get in. So they're coming from right-wing places. And then if they're coming from left-wing, there's another thing. They're tired. So the other thing was, why don't the left care that much about who the president of the United States will be? And the simple answer is people are burned out. Just think about it. When I would talk about voting, I use voting as a tournament. Who is the best one right now? And then that's the one I vote for. Not who I think will win it all. Based on policy, are they going for the things that legitimately we need to progress as a society and be better? Either put more money in our pockets or give us the non-financial stability that we could just live our life and just relax and live our one life and be productive where we want to be, and leave it up to us to be professionals in that area of interest that we take. There's always going to be a call and need for jobs and people to work. Always. That's just life in general. But you can't have 320 million jobs. It's impossible. So you got to make allowances. What was you going to say?
I was going to jump in and say, when you say the left are tired, that's very, very accurate. I think back on what it was like to witness campaigns and voting when I was young, and I think about it now. It is a constant state of campaigning. Campaigning does not end. Have you realized that? As soon as whatever president is nominated, what are they focusing on? Oh, the election in the next 2 years for all the representatives and the senators and stuff. And it rolls right into it. Everybody in Washington is in a consistent state of campaigning. So they're always doing negotiating or, kissing hands and shaking babies and lying in their faces, trying to keep a position that they never, ever actually do because they're always trying to keep it.
Yep. People, voters, and would-be voters, and voters that don't do, are tired. Just look at the way things work. People legitimately gave up their vote, their power, to let those that they put into power rule over them. And people don't like hearing that. They hate hearing that because the average person, they're like, wait a minute, I voted for somebody to tell me what to do? Really? No, I sent that person there to make sure that they do right by me. It's like, no. If you look at how things work, you look at the end game of it all. That's what you need to do. So you sent, in general, okay, you vote for this person. This person goes to Washington. This person's supposed to do what you want them to do. You know, if you are progressive, you want them to get money out of politics. You want them to regulate all the industries, get all the poisons out of all of the products. You want them to either force companies to lower their prices or force them to raise their wage to a outright, undeniable living wage. You want to go solar as much as possible. Wind, solar, wind, even hydro, whatever it takes to get off oil, just do it. That's what you want if you're a progressive. And yeah, student debt and things like that, you want that gone. You want them to have universal health care. You want to make sure that when you put your tax dollars into the system, you get to be seen by professionals that care about you and not if your insurance can cover it. That's what you want from a progressive. But you vote Democrat if you are in this area, not where we live, but just this mindset. You want to vote for a Democrat, not a progressive, because that's just what you do. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You just do what you do. So the Democrat gets in, and while you have paid these small donations to them and you voted them in, they're getting their marching orders. Well, they're corporatists, right? They're capitalists. This is a capitalist society. Ergo, you aren't the one they're listening to. They will do what little things they can to please you, incremental change, but not so much that they tick off those that pay them the $100,000 a month or $1 million or whatnot a quarter. So they got to balance that. That's what the corporatists that want to stay in power do. Give you just enough, but not enough to piss off those that pay them so much. And that's what you vote for. So the corporations say, we want deregulations. We want everyone to just shut up and get paid as little as we want to pay them, and then give ourselves all of these kickbacks and stuff like that. And then that's what you get every single time. And there's a lot of people that are so burned out by seeing that. They noticed it. They realized that nothing's going to change. They're tired. They're tired of fighting you. They're tired of fighting a system. They'll go out and vote and do what they got to do, but they're not going to be up in arms because there's nothing to fight for, because everything they want to fight for, you're fighting against. They're tired of beating their head against a rock that don't move. That's really what it is. They're tired. They're burned out. They're angry at you, at the corporatist voters that make it so that the only one they can vote for is the corporatists that will give you just enough. Just enough. You know, I'm not going to rehash old president runs, but I'm going to say this. If you look back from 2000 up to now, it has gone into the area of what you would want to call a dynasty, to the point where the only people that can be up there are name recognized popular votes. And that's it. Name recognition, popularity. And that's all you're going to get. People are clamoring right now, Michelle Obama for president. She don't want to be president. You can't get Obama back, and personally, I wouldn't want him back. They would love to have Bill Clinton back, but you really shouldn't. That was a bad guy. And it ain't the Monica Lewinsky stuff. That means nothing. All right? He did wrong. She was doing wrong. They got caught, but she took the heat. That was the public. That was the voters.
And it's always the woman's fault.
And at the end of this journey, who do you have? Literally 70, 65-year-old plus people as that are vying for presidency. And there's been enough headway about geriatric presidents, calling them fossil fuels and whatnot by Mike Papantonio, which I understand. But yeah, they are old. Feinstein, she died. She wanted to die in office. We get that. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I think, she died in office with no successor. Didn't even try. There's, everyone that you're going to vote for is old. Mitch McConnell won't leave, even though his voters are telling him to. Why won't he leave? Because you aren't going to do a thing about it. That's it. He's in power. He controls. He's making money. And there's nothing you can do about it, no matter how much you want to do anything about it, because they aren't public servants. They are your rulers. Public servants listen, and they go and fight for the public. That's why they are a public servant. That's what's happening. You aren't going to do a thing about it, and he knows it. These people that go up there and say, I will hold this entire thing for ransom. Give us what we want, or it's going to be a government shutdown. That right there. Give us what we want, or we're going to ruin lives. As soon as that's happened, as soon as anything like that is pushed into play, that person should be put in prison. That's a terroristic situation.
And I'm not sure what law got passed, because it wasn't always like this. When we were kids, there wasn't any risk of, you never heard about, the government might shut down. That's like an incarnation of the last 15 years or something. I don't know what they did.
Fear. Bush got in. Bush got some people annoyed. The Tea Party started forming. Obama got in, and they really got ramped up. And with Obama in, the nation's racism really showed. It really showed. And they really wanted McCain to take off the gloves. They wanted him to be as racist and mean and whatnot as they are. Now, it ain't saying that he won't. But you got to have some decorum up there, You got to finagle your words. That's what you got to do. And he wasn't going to do it. And he wasn't going to let his voters or would-be voters lie on his opponent. And so they was angry with him about that. The Tea Party started that. That's what happened. And then the Tea Party blew up. And what came out the Tea Party? Candidates for small offices. That's what came out of it. And when that happened, that's when you get the next stage of, hey, we want these people in. What are you going to do? If you don't vote for them, we are going to ruin you. We're going to, and as they started it, canceling people. The Tea Party and all that stuff started that canceling crap. That's where that came from. And when those people got in and they started making their rules and not really knowing exactly what to do and how to really help the people, they just wanted money, wanted power, it stayed. Slowly, the Tea Party died, but the racism didn't. Trump comes along at some juncture, and then you got, hey, I will hate with you. I will hate the Mexicans. I will section them off and make them pay for it. I will ban the anyone brown from the Middle East from coming here till we can figure out what the hell is going on. I will hate with you. Every one of those voters on the Republican side bred, not just the voters, primarily those in power, bred the very area to allow something like Trump to germinate. That's what they did. Trump came in and played the game that they created and played it perfectly. You cannot fault Trump for doing that. I'm going to make it so that you can do whatever you want to do and get away with it. And Trump said, all right. His deals were going down. He just wanted to sell some books and get his merch going, his realty business going a bit better with recognized names. Say, hey, I did run for president, but then his ego wouldn't let him lose. He did everything to lose at one point. He did everything. And people were like, no, You hate with us. So now you got Trump. Then you get Biden. And in between that, it was Hillary, Trump, Sanders, Biden. And people was like, all we got is old people. Oh, then Elizabeth Warren and all that stuff that happened. Nancy Pelosi was getting in people's ear. And people started realizing, oh crap, everything is paid for. Everyone is bought. It's bad enough that Trump came out and said what? Yeah, I gave to Hillary, and when I need her to, she'll do for me. Just like everyone else. And then you find out Hillary's like, oh, you bank people, I'm telling you exactly, you can do what you want to do because you know how to do it, but I got to tell everybody else what they want to hear. And that angered everybody. And then Bernie Sanders, he wasn't a Clinton, he's Jewish, he's progressive, he's telling the truth. People didn't want that. You've got all the old school voters who hated Bernie Sanders. That was it. Bernie's progressive, they're not, and they don't want that. They want standard. They got what they got. And now they got Biden, and people are like, he's old. He's like withering away. And then as I said some months ago, what options do you have? After Biden, who? And people are coming to that understanding. Wait a minute. There is who? Who's next? There are options, but they're not experienced. They're not talked about by left-ish media. They don't have options. And without options, you don't know what to do. You just kind of meal around. You don't have anyone to fight for because you don't know who's out there fighting. Because you can't challenge your own party. If I were in politics and I would challenge Biden. You want to stay president? You want to be on the left? You're going to have to beat me because I'm coming after you. But they don't do that. Never challenge your own. Don't hold your own accountable, and just shut up and let everybody do what they do. And in the meantime, on the right wing, they are boisterous. They are loud. They are screaming. They're going after people, starting fights, and then blaming them when they want to retaliate and play the victim. And then accuse everyone else of the stuff that they're doing. So everyone else got to go and debunk it instead of going on the offensive. So the right gets to keep everyone off kilter while they do whatever they want to do and make sure that everybody hates the same thing that they hate while they're taking away the very freedom that people say that they're voting for the right to protect. That's what they do. And they've mastered it. And then Dusty Smith is angry that the left doesn't support the left. That's what he's angry about. The left doesn't support the left. Look, a lot of people be angry about this. I get it. I understand. They're going to be angry with what I'm about to say. I've already pissed off everyone, and no one's going to listen to this past a minute anyway. That's why I get to say whatever I want to say. I'm not beholden to anybody, And anything that I say is not that SIDRA supports it or anything. These are SEDRIK's opinions, SEDRIK's thoughts. These are SEDRIK's. These are my hypotheses. This is from my area, my mind, not hers. So if I say something, you can't say she agrees. Usually SIDRA will hold her tongue and just be, it is what it is. Like she's been doing.
I'm holding my tongue. I could barely get a word in if I had something to say.
If you had something to say, you started uttering. I'd be quiet. That's what I
know.
do.
And see, exactly. I don't have anything to say yet.
See? That don't mean she agreed, but she ain't got nothing to say yet. But Dusty Smith, let me go over this story real quick. And I'm going to explain to you and explain to Dusty why things are the way they are, at least for the most part. All right? So here we go.
Okay.
A while ago, when I first got Comparative Reason up and going, I was listening to Dusty, and he was on Facebook a lot. And he would write up there, and then his stories would get taken down and whatnot. Okay. So you got me in the medium. We got in the medium. We did our thing, and I realized this is it can be very lucrative. not like make you wealthy, but for in general, it make you some money. I am not good at breaking the ice and getting a conversation. And Dusty has made it very clear that when you talk to him, try to get everything you want out in 5 words. But I'm some Joe Schmo from the internet that he don't know, so he's gonna trust my word. So I tell him, because he got his stuff taken down, he's angry at Facebook. They're not letting him make any money off that. So I figured Medium would be a good idea. So I pushed Medium towards him on 3 occasions. And he rejected it. He didn't look into it. I could see his expressions on his shows. I could see him when he would read my text. And he was not digging it. He wasn't going to believe it. He wasn't going to jump into it. And I'm like, if he likes to write, it would help him. So, okay, he denied that. He just didn't want it. I tried 3 times, didn't work. He is angry that the left don't support the left, but he doesn't support the left. How do you want people on the left to support the left when no one on the left supports the left? Nobody is as elitist and as capitalist as the crap that you're crapping on. That's the truth, Dusty Smith. And anyone else out there that does this, that's trying to speak to the left, be progressive, be accountable, being honest, straightforward, and truthful. Anyone out there being that way, and I don't mean subjectively, I mean objectively. It is the truth. You are not going to support anyone. Dusty wants to be up there like Vaush and TJ from the amazing atheist, and all these other people that are up there like Shoe on Head and stuff. He talks about them and like they're doing great. I wish I could get on their show or things like that, or I wish I could get their numbers. Dusty got a good following. He's got a lot of people. He makes a lot for the fur babies. Okay, but the problem is he doesn't try to pull anyone else up. You've basically made it, but you want to make it more. That sounds like greed. You talk about losing money from Patreon, you talk about losing viewers on YouTube, but you're not trying to pull anyone else up. You're not trying. And it ain't got to be me, but it's got to be somebody on the left. It's got to be someone doing social commentary, but you, just like everybody else, only want to deal with the people that's already made it, who's already big. It's the same thing Benjamin Dixon did. Be a part of the progressive army. He won't take you if you ain't already made it.
Nobody wants to talk to someone who hasn't already made it. And that's across the board, no matter what industry or whatever you're dealing with, whether it's politics or literature or movies or anything. They're not looking for fresh new ideas or perspectives. They just want to suck on the teeth of those who have already done it.
And that's why it fails. That's why it fails. New things don't get any attention until the new. Matter of fact, it was a Talk Heathen. This guy, he wanted to be up there and talk with them. It's like, nope. Go out there, make your own channel, get popular, get good, and then we'll talk. He did it. He did it. And then they talked to him. And it's like, I thought you were humanist. I thought you guys cared about people. I thought you had empathy. They talk about empathy. They talk about caring for your fellow person.
We are elite humanists.
And that is an oxymoron. Granted, did they help this? Did they help him get big? Nope, he had to go do it on his own. I'm not gonna say how he did it, but he had already had a word in on 2 occasions with them, and the audience saw it. So they had something to, and then they also put a plug in for him. I have no problem talking about other progressive areas that I listen to. Dusty Smith, Bo of the Fifth Column, The Rosewood Bow, Fair and Balanced, Ring of Fire. Every once in a blue moon, I'll take a listen to the Tom Hartman program. You know, I also listen to, he's not necessarily progressive, but Huck at Home, although he's going through a lot of medical issues and whatnot there, and I hope that he gets better. You know, is he small time? Yeah. But I listen to him every once in a while. You know, you don't have to have made it for me to listen to you. You just have to have a voice. When someone subscribes to my channel, I tend to see what they do. And then I'll subscribe. And if they don't post anything in like 8 months or so, then I'm like, I have to unsubscribe. Because they aren't posting anything. I don't post a lot because there's some things I just don't really think would matter. Because everything is about Trump. And
everything.
So, you know, Dusty, you want people to, you know, cater to you a little bit more, then you should actually cater to others. Your audience will grow when they see that you care about progressive media, not media that's already made it that might be a little progressive. You want the money. You don't want to, if you want to build better, you don't talk about the money and the views and the adoration. You talk about building something. You build a network. You build your basically your alliance. Hey, you're left. Oh, you ain't got but like 1,000 people or 2,000 people. But you know what? You're left. You're cool. You're spouting the same stuff. Like-minded. Let's do this. Because the people on the right, you know what they do? They always network with the lower people and praise those above them. They have no problem giving shout outs to small time people. And because of that, those small time people get views. Those small time people get up there. And then they say, thank you, bigger person. Thank you. You should all check them out.
Yeah,
and that
big person's loyalty.
Yep. And that big person says, man, they gave me a shout out. They're coming up in the world. They're going to be great just like us. They're going to fight for your freedoms just like we are. You know what? You need to go talk to them. Go listen to them. They do good stuff. And the people go to them. You don't do that, Dusty. You don't. And that's why you are where you are. I'm where I am because I tell the truth. I break the rules. I get that. I break the rules. I hold people accountable. I tell the truth. I'll put feet in the fire and hold them on the coals until they quit. Just be honest. That's what I'll do. Be honest. No one wants that, as you already figured out. You said people don't like the truth. They'd rather be with lies. Yeah, that's very true. Their comfort zones are taken, and they hate it. And progressives take away comfort zones. It sucks, but that's what we do that people hate the most. You and I, we are honest, accountable, and we take away comfort zones. No one likes that. And finally, you might not want to fat shame. That can turn people off.
That's his first go-to too.
Yep. Just because you were pudgy or fat or robust doesn't mean you get to cut people down. And I get it. You're talking about the Republicans. You're talking about these little conservative jackwads and whatnot. I get it.
But it shows something about yourself that's kind of ugly.
And people don't like that. Certain people don't. And your content, good. Your shows, good. But people aren't going to support the left because to them, they've already heard it. They already know it. You're preaching to the choir. But the choir don't want to sing with you. They just want you to sing for them. That's what the problem is. They want change, but they don't want to change to get change. That's what's going on. So I hope everybody enjoyed listening to that. But yeah, this has been SIDRIK and SIDRA for Comparative Reasoning. And if you did make it this far, straight up, humbly, thank you for listening.